Hello YouTube, this is Darkon633, and today I'm bringing a review of the Supercon Optimus Prime from Armada. Now, continuing off with my Armada reviews, I'll be reviewing at least a figure based on my actual first Transformer I ever got as a kid, at least for what I remember. When I was a kid, I was trying to get into the Transformers line as early as Slightly Beast Wars and or Robots in Disguise. But for various reasons, because when I was young, my parents refused to kind of let me buy some of the toys when I was a kid, so it wasn't until Armada where I actually got my first Transformers toy. Now, for my first Transformers toy, it's actually the super base version of Optimus Prime, which is the large figure that was released during the time, and technically that's the correct scale for him. But because he is mostly incomplete, missing a lot of components, and unfortunately losing Sparkplug over the years after I moved to the new house, I no longer have most of the parts to review it, so I will not be able to review it in its full form. So I decided to do another figure which I got in the line, which is also based on the same character. Now, before we get onto the figure articulation and various other things, I have one problem that I stumbled upon in the last couple of years actually having this in my collection. Unfortunately, through the years of storage, it kinda messed up the toy. The Optimus Prime itself is fine, but his Minicon partner, Overrun, has a cracked wing, so it's very loose and it doesn't stay on pretty much at all. So, unfortunately, it's just kind of ending up kind of a mess there, but we'll just go for what we can do. Anyways, we'll now take off Overrun before we go on to him. We'll now look at Optimus Prime himself. As you can see, he is still pretty good representation of the character that was featured in or on Transformers Armada. Now, I do like some of the coloring effects that they gave this version of the toy. As you can see, they gave him this kind of smoky color, and that looks really nice in the way that it fades into the gray plastic to make it a little less bland, and I think that was a very nice touch. What's also cool is that he still maintains the handguns on the side there, and most of the design is pretty much intact on the toy, with obviously a lot of the action features are completely changed. What's better about this figure is that he does have a little bit more articulation in the legs just by the way that it's designed, and because it isn't as clunky, it's a lot more in scale with the rest of the body, and the articulation points work a lot better. Now, we'll first start with the head. As you can see, the head is on a ball joint, which allows full movement all around, and that's really nice. He does have ball jointed shoulders, and it's technically a double joint, which the piece popped off, so bear with me here. I'm just gonna quickly reattach it. He does have a double shoulder joint, which does pop off if you're not careful, so just to show how it looks like there. He has full-on ball jointed elbows, and it can bend back and forth. Doesn't have any wrist articulation due to transformation, but I think the elbow articulation really does support that. He has waist articulation, which is quite surprising, and his legs are on ball joints, so it allows full movement around, but it is a bit tight, so the only problem is that he can't move forward that much. Does have a knee joint, which does go about that far, so you're not going to get a full 90-degree movement there. And his feet can pivot up and down, but that's it due to transformation. It can kind of go side to side, but there isn't too much you're going to get there. So articulation-wise, he is pretty cool. Now we will go on to his Minicon partner, Overrun. And now, as you can see, the wing flap is indeed flopping all over the place due to the reason why it's cracked. To transform him, all you got to do is turn the arms, and just to be careful not for it to totally break. And I'll turn around, and then you're going to separate the legs, which could be a bit tricky. You're going to push this all the way around this way. As you can see, it keeps popping off, so bear with me here. And then you're going to push this, and there you have him fully around here. And there you have him in his robot mode. Now, Overrun is a really strange little Minicon, as you can see. It's got this very long nose cone kind of design. Articulation-wise, he isn't that well articulated. He does have a single shoulder joint that goes back and forth, and he does have pegged-in arms, so basically it's just one joint that goes 360 there. He doesn't really have leg articulation, but it's slightly due to transformation. He doesn't have any knee joints, and that's pretty much all you get for articulation-wise. So you're not going to get a whole lot with this Minicon. To transfer him back, all you got to do is pull this up, push these together again, push these together, and then, yeah, there you have him in his vehicle mode. And what's also cool, before we go into the transformation of Optimus Prime, he does maintain one major gimmick. And that is, he has a punch action feature. We're just going to give him into punch mode. And on the back, as you can see, there is a Minicon port that has a sliding mechanism. What you're going to do is plug in any Minicon, but since we have Overrun here, we're just going to attach him to the back. Then when you slide it down, while it's not the best, it does have a decent punch articulation, but this one did get stuck, so as you can see, it just kind of flops back and forth, so you're not going to get a whole lot of the gimmick there. So that's pretty much it for Optimus Prime in his robot mode alone. To transform him, he does maintain several points of transformation that are similar to a Supercon version, or Super Base, should I say. You're going to push away the feet, push these together, and then you're going to collapse the hip pieces, push this in closer, so now you got almost the full back together. And this part is pretty simple. All you got to do is pull these up and then turn these around. But first, we're going to slide in the hands. And then we're going to peg these into the sides of the vehicle. And there you have Optimus Prime, pretty much almost done. First, we're going to slide this over. And then we're just going to peg these together. There you have Optimus Prime in his vehicle mode. Now, his vehicle mode is pretty close to his Super Base version, but obviously he doesn't have much carriage in the front since it's a lot shorter to the ground. And there isn't a whole lot of anything going around with this one. It's pretty generic type of rescue fire truck kind of thing. Forgot exactly what type of vehicle he was. He was some kind of truck. But he does have 6 wheels, which has some pretty good painted inner parts there. And what's cool is that, just like on the Super Base version, his little arm cannons do become the smokestacks in this mode. But they do come off quite easily, so there's actually a lot on eBay I've seen that has those pieces missing. But anyways, it does roll okay as long as you align it properly. As you can see, it's already slightly not aligned that well, since he isn't fully flat on the ground. But when it does, it rolls pretty decently, so that's pretty good for what it is. You can attach Overrun onto the vehicle mode if you wished. And the wing keeps trying to pop off. I'm very scared that's going to completely snap off one day. And if you wanted to, you could just kind of attach it here. But that's it. It doesn't really do anything since the arms are locked into place. Looks rather goofy. Now, what's also interesting is that he does have a peg here to make it look like he can attach to a trailer of some sort, but they never made a trailer that's this scale, so you're not going to really get that feature to really work, and it's just kind of there for design. To transfer him back, it's right simple. All you got to do is push down the feet, separate this, pull out the legs, detach the grill piece, push it down, and just to be sure, as you can see, technically that's where the matrix would be on the Super Base version, but it's not there in this version. You could technically put in some paint there and kind of cheat the fact that he might have it there, but he doesn't have that. But next, you're going to slide down the shoulders, and then you're going to turn the hands around so that you could slide out the fists, and there you have Optimus Prime back in his robot mode. Now, as you can see, unlike the larger version, he's quite simple to transform, and while he does maintain most of the transformation gimmicks, obviously this version can turn into the super mode like the Super Base version one did. But for a standalone Optimus Prime toy, I think this is a pretty cool Optimus Prime, and I still enjoy having it to this date, especially since he actually did use Overrun in the show, even though it was a little later on. But this toy was also repainted into Nemesis Prime, which actually is something that happened later on in Armada. So, not to spoil anything and all that, the repaint does look really cool, and it was kind of interesting that they implemented technically this version of the design for Nemesis Prime later in the show. Now, overall, I still think this is a really cool toy, especially those who don't really want to get the larger version just because of a lot of the gimmicks that it has and various other reasons. In terms of an articulated toy, I definitely think this is a better toy in that aspect. But obviously, if you wanted for the full-on show accuracy and full-on transformations with the base and so on, then obviously the larger one would be the more accurate one. But overall, I still think this is a really nice toy, and that concludes another review of my Transformers Blast from the Past reviews. And tune in next week, as I mentioned earlier in the title wave video, we might be getting to none other than the leader of the Decepticons. Anyways, please comment, subscribe, and check out Hirotaku for the latest in hero news. Also, please check down the channels down below, and they'll be happy for your support. Also, check me out on Twitter under Darkon633. And don't forget to check out the WRW podcast, which is also linked down below. And I'll be seeing you next week, YouTube, for another Armada review. Anyways, bye, YouTube.